Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Meta Cafe for your daily astrology, human design, and tarot energy report with my friend over there on the East Coast, Jason Livanis. Good morning, Jason.
Morning.
And me, Janet Hickox, on the West Coast, where it is still dark and it is sure to be a dreary day. But Jason, you also told me it was a dreary day in your part of the world, so we are a bi-coastal dreary mess.
Nice. That sounds sexy.
Doesn't that sound sexy? Don't you just want to live there because it's dreary? However, I see our friend Jana listening out there, and I just want to say that I had zero clue while I was gone that there was such a horrible thing happening in California, not too far from where she must live, because I'm seeing pictures on the television of this total mudslide that wiped out the town of Montecito, I think it is. And I know she lives in Pismo Beach, so I don't think that's all that far from there. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Jana. And I'm going to post what Jana said here for you, Jason.
Actually, Jana, thank you so much. I'll probably give you a call, Jana, after the broadcast. But my birthday's today, Janet tells me, actually, at 1:42 p.m. But thank you anyway.
Good morning, Suzanne, and good morning, Michelle. Thank you for joining us this morning. And of course, I didn't grab my phone and it's ringing. Oh my gosh. At any rate, I have lots of different things to tell everybody this morning. And I think it's probably going to be, Jana, by the way, says she is 80 miles north of what is going on in California. So that is a good thing, Jana. I'm glad you're safe and sound and that your community is not under fire or water.
Here, Janet, so what happens? A certain amount of earth gets laden with water, sopped, and then it just smushes away. Is that what a mudslide is? We don't have those.
Well, yeah, but you got to remember, this is the same area that was devastated by fire not more than a few weeks back in December and I think in November even. So all the vegetation that would normally, and the root systems of those vegetations that would, absorb water or hold the soil in place is gone.
Got it.
Then you get dumped on with 5 inches of rain and it has nowhere to go. It just runs off. And that's exactly what happened. Tree stumps, logs, rocks, boulders, mud, sand, just right through homes and cars. There were pictures of cars on the beaches, smashed in smithereens as the water just rushed them down. It's got to break your heart. Jana says they got an inch of rain in 45 minutes. Now, that's a lot of rain. Yeah. So it's a terrible mess out there. And I think there have been something like 13, 14 people who've lost their lives.
Oh my God.
And still people missing. And so it's not a good situation at all. Fire and water, never a great mix, one right after the other. I mean, the soil didn't even get a chance to even attempt to recover with vegetation before the rain set in. So that it happens here in Washington frequently for a different reason, and that is the soil breaks loose because of the amount of water. It can't hold any more water, and it runs off. But landslide potential that way. But this is it's been crazy for poor California. And good morning, Roseanne. It's good to have you with us. But I want to address something else. I mean, this is Friday, so we're going to be looking at the entire weekend, of course, but the weekend this week, I've already been feeling this over the last couple of days as it was building up. And what we are seeing is Mercury conjunct Saturn again, which it did when it was in retrograde, and it was retrograding backwards in Sagittarius. But now Mercury is full on forward, and it has now caught up with Saturn in Capricorn. So here what we have is a need to really watch what our minds are dwelling on. Because the tendency with Mercury, which rules the mind, conjunct Saturn, is to rule on or dwell upon the more negative side of things, the things we don't have, the power of the situation that we see and the negative aspects of that as opposed to the positive aspects of it. And the more we do that, the more it leads us into melancholy or depression or, sadness. And once we hit that point where we actually move into depression, it begins to erode our relationships and our jobs and every aspect of our life that we would normally look to bring us some, positive reinforcement. And it was interesting, Jason, because, every morning Jason and I text first thing in the morning because I just want to check and see what he's up to and
I can make
sure he's going to be on air. Yeah. So I always do a good morning, and I'm usually the first one to do it because he's 3 hours ahead of me. He would be assuming I'm asleep until a certain amount of time. And this morning he said to me, trying to stay positive. And I was like, oh, don't fight the feelings that you're having, but definitely being positive is the best way to do this. And here's what I thought was really funny.
Folks,
it's hard to be positive when you're feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders, or when the outer world, shows us some really chaotic events.
It really is astrology. Right before we got on the line, I'm like, Janet, I don't know what's going on with me. I feel unwell. I feel like I'm back to where I was. Like I have, blah, 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 blah. And it never fails. I mean, it's good to know this now going forward with the day. I could be like, I'll have something to focus on, like rail against, like, ooh, Mercury, you little hemorrhoid of the,
the hemorrhoid of the universe. No. So, and the reason we've been feeling this coming up is because, transits of planets tend to build to a crescendo, break, and then leave, right? So this is energy that's been building over the last couple of days. It is actually not exact until tomorrow morning. And yet here we are within a degree of our exact conjunction. And, it's feeling like a ram. It's coming right on in. That will break over the course of the weekend, and then it will pass on, and we can leave that phase behind us. But what do we do in the meantime? Because, the hard part is when your mind is dwelling on all this other stuff, it's hard to stay focused on what's in front of you. I found myself yesterday, I didn't even do a radio show yesterday, as most of you are probably aware if you went looking for it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't, there was so much static and noise in my life.
That you wouldn't.
But
when you hit me up and you said, not doing a show, and I was like,
there was no way that I could have spent an hour in any kind of cogent thinking and speaking while my mind was worrying with all of this other stuff. However, I probably should have done the show, because that would have made my mind have to focus on something that was more important. And that's exactly how we get through these next couple of days while this is building, still breaking, and then moving on. And that is, do the routine things. Get yourself busy doing something. I got this wonderful, I'm going to show you guys, this is wonderful. One of my grandkids, I think, got me this astrology coloring book for Christmas. And I'm going to get my gosh darn colored pens out, and I'm going to color. There's all these wonderful, images in here that I can.
The best therapy you can imagine.
No kidding. Color, brightness, life, having to focus on something to stay in the lines, of course, because I'm anal that way, I'll have to be in the lines.
Quick question. How long is this Mercury going to be conjunct with Saturn, and when does it break?
It's really only going to be conjunct Saturn tomorrow. So today we're still in that build-up phase. We have the phase of its conjunction tomorrow, and then it begins to wane. Now, here's my concern for the rest of the weekend, though, is that on top of that, which takes us to that more dismal, melancholic side of life, or the mind that refuses to let go of all the negatives, we have Venus squaring Uranus, and followed by the Sun squaring Uranus. Venus squaring Uranus tomorrow, the Sun squaring Uranus on Sunday. These are very excitement-driven energies. They don't like boredom. They don't like anything that would keep them, tied down or in a box. And so my concern for everybody is that in a rush to let go of this tension that you're feeling because of Mercury and Saturn, is that you go out and you do something completely unexpected. Like, if you're concerned about finances and to relieve that tension, you go out and do some retail therapy. That is not going to be a good thing. right? Or if you're upset, if you're feeling penned in and your mind is, you're replaying negative conversations with people other than your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend, the possibility is that you're going to strike out at the people closest to you, but they're not even the ones that are the problem. It might be something else that's happening outside of you. So, we have to watch our mouths, our voices. We have to watch our actions, that we don't take the excitement or the need, that feeling of needing excitement or change or freedom from the more dismal feelings that we've been experiencing, and then doing something harmful with it, or doing something that, in the end, doesn't suit us or isn't in our highest and best interest. So being careful that we're, navigating these waters in a very conscious way, right? We talk about consciousness a lot in terms of astrology transits like this, Jason, because why? If you stay conscious, then you can choose what you do with it and not just act or react. And frankly, the sun squaring Uranus in and of itself is one that's anxiety making, is a nervous tension sort of feeling. And you know how we are when we get that feeling, and then we're also feeling kind of kept down. It's that we want to strike out. We want freedom. So we do something rash. And instead, let's be proactive. Let's proactively seek expression of this energy in a positive way. Get your color books out. Go back to a project you left hanging before the holidays, perhaps cleaning out a closet, even though it's not particularly Virgo in energy for that. But any routine sort of thing that can make you feel accomplished, that makes you feel like, well, I can tick that off. Maybe go, out and listen to music. Do something that you wouldn't normally do, but just don't do something that's going to blow back at you, because Monday's hangover may be really bad if you do things like that over the weekend.
No
In the
self-sabotage.
meantime, the moon is in Sagittarius, right? So the moon is already going back over territory where we were reevaluating our beliefs, where we were looking at T, the capital T truths, where we were looking at the energies of freedom and adventure and being bold. So let's just make sure we're very conscious about how we use that energy as well. And don't you think it's funny that our president called some third world nations shithole countries? And then today I see that he's backpedaling from that and saying, I didn't say that, that I was misquoted, or whatever he says he does. Because I think out of his own frustration with things that are happening in, not to berate him, but he's like a really good tell-all of these energies. Out of his frustration for immigration policies, whether he's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. He strikes out, he lashes out. And now the focus isn't on so much immigration anymore, it's on what the president said. He called Haiti, Africa, the African nations, and I can't remember the other country, shithole nations. And why would we want immigrants from these shithole nations?
He hasn't been impeached.
Not yet, but you got to understand he's under pressure too. Not that I like the man at all. Not that I think but he's out there in my outer world. So I've got to watch what he's doing, and he's succumbing to the pressures as well. So, don't fall prey to that. The man isn't as conscious as we are. And not that I think he's doing a good or a bad job, but for what, like it or not, he's out there in our world, showing us some very interesting energies right now. And, frankly, let's just put it out on the table. How many of us haven't had frustrations with our government in the way it's dealt with immigration? Whether you're on the side that says they get everything and I'm white and I can't get anything, or the country deals with these people so unfairly and, it's very frustrating and I feel like I can't do anything about it. So we're also frustrated. And we're also dwelling on the negative, or the tendency right now is for us to dwell on the negative. So give everybody a break. Let's just breathe through this weekend and hope that nothing else happens bizarre from the people who can't control themselves. I know, Jason's like, blow my head away.
Harping. I'm just having a shitty day. Fuck it. I have been a proponent of observation lately. And I have to tell you, today has been a day where I'm feeling challenged in the staying in love and staying in observation.
Yes. Things are heavy right now. There's no getting around it. You have a stellium of planets in the sign that's least likely going to have fun.
Are you calling me funless?
No, because you have some other wonderful. Thank God your moon is in Gemini, so it lightens up the whole thing in your chart. But if a child being born today is going to have a stellium in Capricorn, they're probably going to have a great business mind, but they're going to also be fairly single-minded. And hopefully they have people around them that show them the world and its light as opposed to its dark. It's a crazy time when you have lots of planets lined up in one sign. It skews the energy toward sometimes not the best of that sign, right? Because it's sort of like this pounding drive. I just put up a comment from Michelle's who says, you know, since Saturn went into Capricorn, she's sick, tired, and feeling heavy. And that is not to be unexpected, Michelle, with this number of planets in Capricorn, and wherever it is in your chart personally is where you're feeling that heaviness. So if it's in your career sector, that's where it's affecting you. If it's in your personal relationship sector, that's where it's affecting you. If it's in your money sector, that's where it's affecting you. So we're all feeling it. This too shall pass, right? This too shall pass. Energy begins to lighten up next week as the planets begin to move out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. So we can, you know, the usefulness of this time is that it allows us to really focus on the most important things. What is the most important thing? Love, relationships, life, excitement, whatever it is for you. Whatever the most important thing is where we can put our focus, and that's where we're going to find success. And it also helps to get our minds out of that rut of seeing the darkness that is everywhere. So hopefully your cards this morning, Jason, can help us get through this. The moon joins Capricorn, by the way, 2:42 p.m. on Sunday, your time. And I think that adds another level of emotional melancholy, depression. So all I can say, people, is go do something fun. Go listen to music. Turn on the funniest movies that you can for the weekend. Get your color books out.
Get out your Carol Burnett. Whenever I'm down, I get out my Carol Burnett bloopers. Just go.
There you go.
I'm not joking. It's infectious. Just go onto YouTube and put in bloopers, TV bloopers, whatever it is.
That's a great idea.
You'll piss your pants.
Yeah. Laughter is the best medicine. Laughter is the best cure for the negative heaviness that we're feeling and experiencing over this weekend. It was funny because yesterday I turned on, I got all the, how your phone sometimes, if you go look at Pandora or something, it has these little numbers above telling you that there's messages or something. So I went to Pandora yesterday to clear it off. And suddenly it was all this wonderful Christmas music. And I'm like, what? Why Christmas music? But it must have been the last music I was listening to on Pandora. So it was like, oh, sleigh bells ring. So it was kind of happy, upbeat music. And that really, was helpful. So the testament to music is that it is very effective in mood raising and lightening the load, if you will. What'd you say? Ring your balls. Get your balls out. So we have lots of opportunities to help ourselves move through this. And Roseanne says, happy birthday, Jason. We are all wishing you the most happiest of birthdays. And, I think this is going to be I told Jason this the other day, if you were all listening, we did a sort of beginning solar return reading for him. And this is a year of expecting change, transformational energies that are abounding in his chart. But that doesn't mean that this is a tough year. It means that there's change. Capricorn, being an earth sign, is often, it's not as likely to get stuck as the other two earth signs because it's a cardinal sign. It likes to start new things. but the resistance we feel to change is often what makes change feel so bad. Not not the change itself. Usually change in and of itself is a good thing. It brings us something new. It stirs the pot, if you will. So I want you to know your pot's being stirred this year, definitely. And the only way it's going to be a negative is in your perception of it's a negative.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're fully in control of how
And
this feels.
Kind of like
And
crying is that. Pardon me, another phone call came in. This stellium of planets is happening. Thank you, Viola. And it's sort of going to be this story or this constellation of stuff, this presence that I'm going to be living with for the full year. So it's kind of like, whew, okay.
And to answer your question, Roseanne, who's asking, what year are you going into? He's going into an 11 year. So his year is also echoing the universal year. So this does make for, the number 11 is a master number, meaning it's a double number. And the master numbers are high anxiety often. They are requesting much more of us than the usual lower vibration. And I don't mean lower as in it's not as good, but the lower vibration of the 11 is the 2, which is about relationships. And, that's part of the 11 as well. But the 11 is seeking enlightenment or illumination. And the way that you're going to get there with this in this year is to be willing to shine that flashlight into those darkest crevices, into those corners of yourself. And you've been, you've almost seen this starting to build already as we were, 3 months ago, you were bringing up victim energies and looking in those dark places. So, 11 is going to allow you to be able to do that and to see some changes that are really hopefully going to put you in a better place. But you may go kicking and screaming. It just depends on how you greet those changes when they come up. So overall, good year.
This is a great card for today.
9 of Discs. Tell us about that card.
This is the card that says to you today to take stock of the luxuries in your life. Do you have full cabinets? Do you have love in your life? Do you have clothing on your back? Do you have a roof over your head? It's a card that has a couple different meanings, but this is the direction I'm going in for today. Being looked out after by Earth Mother, by Gaia. Very important.
They look like disco balls.
Yes.
Which makes me think of dancing.
They're emeralds. So let's just go right on into Tuesday. Interesting.
Tuesday? Saturday?
Wow. Saturday.
Let's just go on into Tuesday. Let's just forget the Saturday, Sunday, Monday in between us.
Saturday is definitely going to be a day, the 4 of Cups. This is a past lifetime card. This is a card that has Jesus Christ in the background. I won't lie, I'm having a little problem this morning being connected and interpreting because I feel off, but that's the way it goes. But this card for Saturday is one that usually denotes family, past lifetime stuff, important things. And that's what's going to be going on for Saturday. And then Sunday, things even out a bit with the Ace of Swords. Things come to light a bit on Sunday. And yeah, so there you have it.
Wait, Ace of Swords is what now? The coming to the light?
Truth.
Truth. Oh.
It is the first of truth. It is born out of the balance card. It's first seen on the magician's table, but not really utilized. And it's a interesting card. I think the Ace of Swords, whenever I get it, I feel good about it. So that's what's going on. There'll be some abatement and some relief on Sunday.
Nice. Well, Sunday is the day the moon moves out of Sagittarius. I think Sagittarius having been the place where Saturn was up until just December 19th. The moon moving through there is going to trigger some of the things that we were grappling with in December. And the moon moving into Capricorn then recalls a different energy. So maybe that's what we see, is that the ability to sort of leap out of some of the old stuff and into maybe the new. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice to just wake up and have a new story to tell?
That's what we're working towards.
Woohoo! So anything else? Does anybody have any questions? Jason, I wish I could hug you. I just sense you're needing it. Oh, that's sweet, Michelle.
It's true. I feel like doo-doo.
And that's not how one should feel on their birthday.
I know it's not, but I guess, being Capricorn and knowing that it is becoming a metaphysician or a master metaphysician is not for the weak. It is, we're really doing things that a lot of people don't ever even think to do. But what can I tell you? At 1:42 today, I'm going to disconnect, turn the phones off, and I'm going to sit in quiet. I don't know what I'm going to feel. I guess I'll have to deal with my rabbit, my hamster brain, but my astrologist told me to tune in at the time that I was born, so that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, because tuning in to the time that the sun returns to the exact spot it was when you're born, i.e. your birthday, gives you a sense of what's coming, what's passing away, and gives you relative, peace around. Do not underestimate, Jason, also setting the intention at that time of what you want from this year, right? That's an important piece, I think, that we often forget. And if we're experiencing the moment and the moment is not feeling so good, then we're dwelling in that negative mindset. Instead, when you go to do that, set that intention that for what you want to see this year.
Yes.
What do you want to have as the outcome? When we're sitting here next year at the same day, what will you have said? What will you have accomplished? What will have happened? Where will you have gone? Who will you have done it with? Who will you be with? All these things, being very willing to set those intentions. And, don't go into your meditation time without a piece of paper or a pad of paper, something to write down.
Yep.
Yeah. I know people who will call me up when it's going to be their birthday, and they'll say, where should I be on my birthday? Because your birthday, this is one of the few charts that I actually have to know exactly where you're going to be on your birthday in order to get the chart appropriately correct for you. And that's because if of wherever the sun is falling in the chart is going to give a different story based on the geography of where you are. So if you're going to be in Hawaii, for example, on your birthday, it's going to be a far cry from being in New York City on your birthday or being in New Jersey on your birthday. So people often will want to know, hey, is the energy better in Hawaii, or should I go to the Caribbean, or should I go, to Norway? Those kinds of questions. So it's important to know where you're going to be, and understanding that's a part of it as well. Here you are in New Jersey at this point, probably not able to change where you're going to be for your birthday, but then say, okay, I want the highest and best expression of me in this coming year for where I am right now, and being okay with that. Good morning, Natasha. She's out there saying happy birthday, Jason. May grace and ease be with you. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's it for me this morning. Jason, do you have anything else you want to share with everybody?
No, I'm good. But thank you for your birthday wishes. Have a beautiful weekend. I'll be in touch with you, Janet. You know that. What else? That's it. Much love.
Much love to everybody. And I'm going to leave an open door sort of policy for people this weekend. If there are issues that come up, text me. If you know how to text me, or messenger me, or Facebook me. I kind of feel like people may be under some pressure this weekend and may need some guidance, and I'm here if you need me. I'm sure Jason will be the same, except he should be partying.
Yeah, no.
So Jason goes out and parties. Jason will hold down.
And everybody fuck off. Don't bother me.
So if you need help this weekend, I'm the one on call for your spiritual response team.
Right. That's right. You're picking up the slack, honey.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm sure you will do the same for me someday soon. And you did while I was gone. And so everybody take care. Have a good weekend. Just if your mind goes into those negative places, do something different to change up that energy and make it a good weekend. We'll see you on Monday morning. Love you all. Bye for now.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.